Hello everybody, I hope you're having a wonderful day. Today I would like to share my final thoughts and opinions on the Sitivien knives model ST999. So this guy, you can currently pick it up off of Amazon for $149.99. Once in a while you could actually find a coupon to take I believe like 10% off once in a while, but it's gone now for some reason. There's only a couple of this specific colorway in stock currently. There are two other variants. One has blue titanium, the other one has like a pinkish purple. And this is just the regular, regular titanium. Let me pull these specs off of here. So overall length is 8.19 inches. Blade length is 3.5 inches. Handle length 4.68 inches, and weight is 4.25. So the blade to weight ratio, as large as this knife is, and I would consider this a full size large knife, it's pretty light. It is pretty light. I've handed this off to a handful of non-knife people in my workplace, and they're like, wow, this thing is actually pretty light. I thought it was gonna be a brick because it looks like it could have been a brick, but it's not. So let's do a couple size comparisons of very common knives within the hobby. This is the Sitivien Elementum AD 20.5. Have here a Osborne 940 from Benchmade, and a Bug Out also from Benchmade. Last but not least, I have two Spydercos, the Para 3 and the, whoa, that was terrible. Yeah, that's not gonna happen. This thing is still breaking in. Jesus Christ. The Native 5 in fluted titanium. My FRN one, I can flick that thing like no problem, but this thing, it's definitely gonna take some time to break in, that's for sure. That thing is tough. But there are some very common overall size comparisons. Thickness up against the Para 3. It's a little bit more hand filling, but it's not too far off of what the Para 3 is. The blade stock thickness is pretty close, but I think it might be a tad thinner. I'm not 100% sure. I don't own any calipers, but I will be investing in some soon. I recently, and by recently I mean today, finally got around to taking apart this knife and seeing its goodies on the inside, seeing what it's really made of. And I would say the closest I can compare this knife to, manufacturer quality wise, is this is built like a Tucson. If you guys know about Tucson knives, they're an overseas company that produces, in my opinion, ridiculously impressive knives for the price. That's my opinion. I know there are plenty of Tucson fanboys out there. I myself am one of them. I own only one currently, but I've owned multiple in the past, and I've sold them off since then, but that was because of financial reasons. So when I did take this guy apart, I wrote down a couple of notes of things that caught my attention pretty much. So I already said built like Tucson. It has ceramic ball bearings, ceramic detent ball. All the hardware, including the pivot collars, are titanium, which is cool. So these little silver rings on that side and here, they are titanium. The decorative side of the pivot is titanium. The T8 screw is also titanium, but the bar that connects them inside is steel. No big deal. The hardware on the rest of the knife, including the one for the pocket clip, or T6, also anodized titanium, has this beautiful milled titanium pocket clip. It's very attractive in my opinion, but it is only tip up right hand carry, so Unfortunately, they didn't really create this with lefties in mind, but they do have a little pin back here for lanyard fans. I am not one, but it is there if you are. A halfway length titanium backspacer is machined quite well, and matches up pretty well. This is one piece in the back there. It's just cut out for the little pin. Going back to the pocket clip for a second, there is a sufficient amount of room, in my opinion, to get regular like Dickie or jean material in, but anything thicker than that, I think you might have a little bit of difficult time. It can get a little tight in there. This thing is perfectly centered, doesn't rub up on anything, doesn't touch the titanium backspacer, and it's just freaking smooth. The couple methods to deploy this thing, there are two of the same channels on either side of the blade that you can get your nail or skin into, and the detent is light enough and the edge of this cutout is sharp enough, not like bad sharp, but it has enough bite to actually catch your skin to confidently deploy and comfortably deploy it too, in my opinion. Thumb flick is reliable, wrist flick is reliable, sounds really good, feels good. You don't have to put too much effort. The front flip is absolute ass. You have to put so much pressure into it, but that's also because of a little design flaw that can be fixed by whoever buys it, which I plan to do some light modification to it to give it a little bit more bite. But as you can see, it only has two tiny ass little jimps. That's no bueno. It's not good. Another little downside to this knife is there's not really much space to get your finger in there. I'm used to it now, but I would say that a beginner to a novice to a well-seasoned knife enthusiast would also comment on that and probably wouldn't like that, honestly. But I own this knife. I don't plan to get rid of it. I don't plan to sell it or trade it because I love how it looks. I'm okay with dealing with that. Another little nitpicky thing is about these, I believe these are shred carbon fiber, overlays, inlays. They're not flush with the titanium. Maybe that was intentional, but for as industry standard goes, most knives that have this idea behind having inlays on titanium, they're flush. They're just supposed to be flush. If that was the intention to have them slightly raised, okay, I get that. I'm cool with it, but I'm just saying I'm pretty sure a lot of people would complain about that and would think that that's a a detailing issue, or not a fitment issue, but a finish issue, pretty much. This thing is rock solid, very comfortable in the hands, in my opinion. There are a couple spots that could be softened up a little bit, like right here, and just literally every edge, every point could be softened up or rounded down a little bit. What else? Oh, today, sharpening it. I have a wicked edge sharpening system, and if you guys know what that looks like, it's a little clamp that holds it by the spine of the blade. Some people have it facing away from them, some people sharpen it facing towards them, but the way that it's set up is it has these little arms that these little sharpening plates attached to, and you go like this over the edge, over and over and over again either side, and you're able to get a pretty sweet edge. I wouldn't call it a wicked edge, but that's probably user error, user meaning me. I still get pretty good edges, and they're plenty good for me, but I know that other people can get something way better with hand sharpening, maybe a different system. Everybody learns different, everybody sharpens their knives different. I'm just glad I can sharpen my own knives. That's it. I don't have to pay anybody for it. But what I did notice is that these really large shoulders of the titanium scales actually get in the way of sharpening it all the way down here. So I was actually hitting the titanium scales as I was making my passes with my stones, and that's no bueno. That's a little you know, design error there. So while this thing is very attractive and it functions quite well, it does. Like, a knife is a knife, and this thing is, you know, it's plenty of knife, that's for sure. It's plenty of knife. There were little nitpicky things here and there that I had that, you know, I feel were worth mentioning. But regardless, I do recommend this knife because it is really premium feeling. There's just a couple little nitpicky things that I have here, but a budget brand creating something like this, to me, this is extremely impressive. And while I had a handful of nitpicky things to say about it, I also had a lot of good to say about it. So if Sitivien is able to produce knives of this quality with this action, which is insane. This is now the smoothest knife in my collection, you know, effortlessly. Like, this thing was dirty from carrying it. There was so much like dust and lint in there, and this thing was still dropping shut. And the blade doesn't even weigh that much. It's a really thin blade. This thing is just, it's a smooth criminal. It really is. There could be more weight relieving on the inside. There was only like 2 small holes, and honestly, it could have been a much larger milled out space. But I don't think the weight is bad on this thing. It really isn't. It's very comfortable. You choke up on it. Could be some jipping up here, but that's just a preference thing. Besides that, this thing is pretty darn sweet. I have this regular line paper, and I have used this a little bit since sharpening it earlier today, but I mean, it still moves through material quite well. Little to no resistance as I fumble there. There's that. Also have here just basic cardboard, nothing fancy, stuff you get in the mail. And it's just great to use. This thing just goes through material quite easy. I don't have any issues with its performance. So yeah, that's it. I will be linking this guy in the description below. Hope you enjoy the video and have a wonderful day.